We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
With Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Reality Rants. I am Jason Bermas. This is Red Voice Media. I want to remind everybody the second hour will be exclusive over at RVMRumble.com or RVM's Rumble. That's how we do it on Wednesday. It's going to be a conversation with myself and Frank from Quite Frankly. We discuss Sound of Freedom. We discuss the Lenin assassination and so much more. I always love talking to him, whether it's on my broadcast or his broadcast. So I hope you enjoy that as well. I had a compilation clip that maybe we'll play at the very end and cut off YouTube because we're going to go about an hour and 5 before we kick it to that pre-record. There's no way. It's funny because it's just a compilation video of a bunch of mainstreamers and narrative pushers, etc., saying things that if it's on my channel, it's oversauce. It's old Strike-a-Rooski. And I'm going down. Meanwhile, we got a poopy pants puppet in there that at this point, guys, he could barely talk. I'm going to show this Bidenomics clip where they've literally got him in cuts every 5 to 7 words, and he still looks horrible. He still sounds horrible. It's kind of frightening that we're allowing this as a nation state and acting like this guy is the leader of the free world, or that we are the free world. Yeah, you know, I could play videos of him out in the UK with Prince Charles, barely walking. He doesn't know what's going on, and he probably in his mind every once in a while in a blue, when they're sitting there talking to him, he thinks he's got the greatest presidency ever. He actually believes the bullshit he's spewing. Like, I want to put this graphic out there. It's absolutely unbelievably ridiculous. Here it is right here. Bidenomics! Here it is. Unemployment below 4% for the longest stretch in 50 years. Inflation, I mean, that's not even a real thing. Do you really believe that? You have over half the country on some kind of government subsistence. It's insane. Inflation cut in half compared to 1 year ago. Also not real. That's not real. How much less are you suddenly paying for a pound of ground beef? The one thing that, thank God, did go back down were eggs. And those things were high rolling gold. All right? Inflation cut in half compared to 1 year. That's not true. Anybody else still paying at the pump pretty high? I'm still paying at the pump pretty high. Gas ain't $1.50. Ain't two beans, Joe. Ain't 250. The hell is he talking about? Job satisfaction at a 36-year high. Now, I wanna paint to you how insane that statement is. How utterly and completely insane that statement right there is. Okay? It's 2023. Let's take it back 36 years. Let's do some basic math. Let's hope I don't screw it up. We're talking 1987. Okay? Right around the 87 point. Now, other than the fact that IBM, which was a huge company, was the big tech company back in the day, had a huge layoff, and that was the big scandal. For the most part, people in the 80s who had invested their money, they had made good money. There were still homes where the husband worked, the wife stayed home, all right? And this was still the norm, and you had 3 to 5 kids. You didn't need a second income. You still had 2 cars in a pretty nice place. And people liked their jobs. And they had a pension. And they had actual health care that wasn't just gouged 36 years ago. Now, even in the late 90s, when tech was booming, people again were making money. You're telling me job satisfaction is higher than then? This is nuts. Job satisfaction at a 36-year high. Who even measures that? What kind of newfandangled Orwellian, Bernaysian talking point is that? Highest share of working age Americans in the workforce in 20 years. I don't even know what that means. Highest share of working age Americans. Like, what? That means that people that are of age to work are working. That's not true. I see a ton of lazy people. You talk to any business owner out there who hasn't had a staff for the last decade plus, and they're trying to replace people or start a new business, they're going to tell you straight up they can't find workers that are competent or that even want to show up. Highest share of working age. I mean, my goodness. Low-wage worker pay growing at the fastest pace in over 20 years. Look, the bottom line is minimum wage still isn't a livable wage. And if you just up the minimum wage without upping everything else, those that are just making slightly more and have worked so hard to get there feel slighted, and they should. And they should. I mean, you look at the picture of the guy, too. That's not what he looks like. He looks like a decrepit old puppet. I'm going to give you a rundown right now of what Joe actually looks like. Okay, this is it right here. This is what Joe looks like. It's not slowed down. This is what Joe looks like. Okay, and I'll say this. There are still certain people in mainstream media that are holding water for this guy, defending him. But now the attacks are starting to come out. Now the CNN people are starting to talk about old zombie Jay here. That's what Joe Biden looks like. That's it right there. Okay? And this is his pathetic Bidenomics ad that goes along with the little graphic on the Twitter page that someone else manages for him because he can barely hold a cell phone. But he's going to tell you he'll pick up the phone anytime his grandkids call. Except for that one grandkid. Here we go.
It's about rebuilding the economy from the middle out and the bottom up. When that happens, poor have a way up, the middle class do well, and the wealthy still do very well. Number 2, it's about bringing jobs home, creating tens of thousands of new, good-paying jobs.
Look at these cuts. Look how, I mean, you know, it's fast pace. These are just talking points. None of this is real. He can barely get out the words they've prepared for him, and they've got to cut every 5 to 7 words.
instead of going for cheaper labor overseas. It's also about making sure that we're investing in things that relate to education. My wife has an expression: any country that out-educates us will out-compete us.
Barely talk. He can barely talk in a pre-shot ad.
And lastly, it's about making sure that everybody has a chance. That's what we're doing, and it's working. We created 13 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs in less than 2 years. So we're on our way. America's back. We have the strongest economy of any of the major nations in the world, and we're going to continue.
Look at that. He can still furl his brow. We're going to continue. Got the greatest presidency of all time. That's who I am. I'm Joey B. I mean, that's a shade of Joey B right there. Old zombie Jay trying to take it back. So, I want to play this clip. Yes, it's on Fox Nation. But, I mean, this is like... this is Jake Tapper just being Jake Tapper. Still trying to defend the Biden regime. But, you know, there are moments now where the left has the knives out. And that's because eventually this guy's getting replaced. Now, they may want just the whole thing. Trump says he might not debate anybody. Right? And I don't like that. But Trump might not debate anybody. You bet damn well Joey B ain't debating anybody. So, you know, they rig another election. There's another emergency somehow. They'll put him in and they'll take him out so fast with his own document scandal. Or something else. I mean, we have a real scandal. I've got that Israeli whistleblower that's disappeared, that supposedly is an arms dealer and on the run now. He's got an interview with the New York Post. I wish I was able to rip it. I wasn't able to rip it, so we have to watch it off the web. It's like 13 minutes long. We're definitely going to be taking a look at that. But first, let's take a look at this.
Welcome. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner here with my co-hosts Kayleigh McEnany and Emily Campagno. Also joining us today, Fox News contributor and president of KA Consulting and former senior counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway is here. And Fox News contributor Raymond Arroyo.
Oh, thank you so much, Raymond.
Let's begin with the left-wing media turning on itself and going after the New York Times for highlighting President Biden's public image crisis surrounding his 7th grandchild. 7. Don't care how he's counting these days. Our commander-in-chief is being accused of shunning Hunter Biden's 4-year-old daughter, Navy, from the presidential family. And he's reportedly instructed staffers to repeat his lies about only having 6 grandchildren. The liberal media have long ignored this bad look for President Biden, but the topic went viral after the scathing New York Times op-ed. It led with the headline, "It's 7 grandkids, Mr. President." And the piece didn't sit so well with the co-host of The View.
No, of course not, because Whoopi Goldberg is gone. Man, there was a time when I was a kid and I used to watch HBO and they did Comic Relief. And it was Whoopi Goldberg and it was Billy Crystal and it was Robin Williams. And I looked forward to hearing what that woman had to say because she was funny. Nothing funny about this.
Maureen Dowd should find something else to write about.
Yeah, write about something else.
When you start talking about people...
Yeah, write about something else.
Those families and what they're doing, I find it unnecessary. This is not anybody's business. Nobody needed to know about this. No. This is private.
Do you feel like if it was Trump, we would talk about it, is the thing? If Trump had a grandkid he wasn't acknowledged, we all talk about it. He probably does.
Oh.
What?
Wow, so classy on that show, it's amazing. CNN host Dana Bash tried her best to spin the story and blamed Republicans.
This is a story that is sad and disturbing on so many levels. Yes, it is political for a couple of reasons.
Look at the faces on these people. I mean, these are not serious people.
Reasons. Number one, yes, Republicans are using it and are going to take advantage of it in a way that is unfortunate and inappropriate. But the reason they are doing that is because, and able to do that, is because of the brand and the kind of person that we all know and believe Joe Biden to be.
No, we don't know and believe him to be a family man or a good person. That's imagination land that you and yours have pushed, Dana. How dare you? We're going to go to a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Remember, second hour over at RVMRumble.com.
Attention Americans, breaking news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. Take action now. The Federal Reserve phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard. Your hard-earned assets are in jeopardy. But there's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Reach out to American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Visit protectfrombiden.com. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Be smart. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Visit protectfrombiden.com to get your free guide and get started. Again, that's protectfrombiden.com.
Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Remember, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored, where you're going to get 2 extra interviews or a double sauce like the Kurt Metzger, and you support the broadcast. I rolled it back because I want everybody to take a look at these people. How she frames it. His brand is a family man. His brand is a family man. The ultimate Snifsky and Hutch's brand is a family man. The guy who's in his son's phone as Pedo Peter is a family man. The guy whose daughter, who was in a halfway house because of her problems with drugs, and wrote that she took inappropriate showers with her father and alluded to some other things here, that proves he's a family man. That's his brand. What upside down universe is this? Oh, it's CNN. That's the one.
Yes, it is political for a couple of reasons. Number one, yes, Republicans are using it and are going to take advantage of it in a way that is unfortunate and inappropriate. But the reason they are doing that is because, and able to do that, is because of the brand and the kind of person that we all know and believe Joe Biden to be, because it's who he says he is, and it's somebody who is a family man. That's what we see all of the time.
Oh, she's trying to tell the truth there. Did you see the cutaways to the guests? Yeah. They don't want to talk about that. Meanwhile, CNN's Jake Tapper went even further and took a swipe at the little girl's mother.
For the sake of fairness, that Navy's mom, who had the incident with Hunter that resulted in this beautiful child, she has been caught up in some far right folks.
Oh.
I think the word he was looking for incident that ended up as a child is sex. Yeah. That's what they had.
It sounds like he thought it was a petri dish. I find it really rich that those two CNN anchors of all people, and I hadn't seen those clips because why would I have? Thanks for sharing them with a large audience. They were two of the people obsessed with my marriage, obsessed with my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And her marriage is over. And who knows? Again, I'm not blaming CNN for that. But they're such hypocrites and so full of shit. And they'll turn on him all the way eventually when it's the new talking point that they're given. Here's what they're not going to do. They're not going to focus on this guy. I'm going to tell you right now. There's legs to this. And whenever there's like legs to like an actual thing, the mainstream media in large part, even over at the Fox News, I mean, they may get into this story. New York Post is covering it. That's Murdoch Media. But will it go anywhere criminally? Doubtful. Doubtful. So this is the guy. This is the guy that is on the run, that's now accused of arms dealing, that I'm holding judgment for. This is the Israeli whistleblower.
My name is Dr. Gal Luft. For the past 20 years, I have been the co-director of the Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, a Washington-based think tank focused on energy security. For the past 15 years, I've been a resident of Israel, and for 4 years, I was senior advisor to the China energy company CFC, at the same time of its dealings with the Biden family. Under normal circumstances, I would be testifying before Congress about my experience with CFC. Sadly, due to circumstances I shall describe here in this video, I am forced to tell you this story via video. My ordeal goes back to a fatal decision I made in March of 2019 to share with the US government my knowledge about the Biden family's relations with CFC. As I said, it was in March of 2019 in a 2-day session at the US Embassy in Brussels. I insisted that the meeting take place in March because at the time there were rumors that Joe Biden was planning to run for president. I saw it as my civic duty to alert the government beforehand and give it enough time to probe the issue.
Yeah, but when you alert the government that you're trying to take out their selected puppet, they're not nice to you. And him starting with, under normal circumstances, he would be giving this testimony under oath. Sorry, man, I don't know what world you worked in. That's not how it works when you go after a real establishment figure and you're a real establishment whistleblower. You're attacked, bro. You've just been charged.
I want to be clear. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I have no political motive or agenda. I did it out of deep concern that if the Bidens were to come to power, the country would be facing the same traumatic Russia collusion scandal, only this time with China. Sadly, because of the DOJ's cover-up, this is exactly what happened. The DOJ sent to Brussels a delegation of 6 people, 2 prosecutors from the Southern District of New York by the names of Daniel Reichenthal and Catherine Ghosh, and 4 FBI agents. One of them was Special Agent Joshua Wilson from the Baltimore Field Office, which also happens to cover the state of Delaware. Now you want to ask yourself, why did the government dispatch to Europe so many people? Why 6? Why not 2?
Well, because they're the cover-up crew. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody went there with that intention, but certainly some of them. And when you're dealing with New York prosecutors, man, and FBI agents, watch out. Watch out.
The answer is that they knew very well that I'm a credible witness and that I have insider knowledge about the group and the individuals that enrich the Biden family. Over an intensive 2-day meeting, I shared my information about the Biden family's financial transactions with CFC, including specific dollar figures. I also provided the name of Rob Walker, who later became known as Hunter Biden's bagman. Yet, as we now know today from the whistleblower testimony, Gary Shapley, it took the DOJ a whole 21 months to probe the issue and to actually talk to Walker.
That's because they're getting everything in a row to charge this guy. Like, again, it's when they send those people there, that's a fishing expedition to figure out how many loose ends they're going to have to tie up. How many people are actually involved that are going to start chirping.
But perhaps the most alarming information I revealed was of a mole within the DOJ who shared classified information with Hunter Biden and his Chinese partners. I told the DOJ that Hunter was closely associated with a very senior retired FBI official who had distinct physical characteristic. He had one eye. One of the FBI agents at the time even told me, you know, that would be very easy for us to find. There aren't that many one-eyed people in the Bureau. The information I provided the FBI in March of 2019 was fully corroborated 9 months later when the famous laptop belonging to Hunter Biden, which contained all the emails and receipts, was handed to the FBI.
They had it before that. They had it before that. They had it in 2019. And by the way, not just a laptop. Not just a laptop. We were talking about, at least in the press, up to 8 hard drives. That's, again, a misnomer. So you wonder how much this guy's looked beyond the surface level of what's been reported. He even alluded to the Russian collusion nonsense, which is nonsense. But at the same time, when you look at these business dealings, how many witnesses do you need? Well, it doesn't matter how many witnesses you have. You have the hard proof on hard drives, and you had it before the 2020 elections. And guys like Bill Barr just go, well, you know, I guess they were pretty dishonest about that. And this guy's talking about one-eyed moles in the DOJ? I mean, that's not a mole, man. That's just an operative doing DOJ business. I bet you that guy might have been involved in your indictment.
And guess who seized the laptop from the computer repair shop? It was Special Agent Joshua Wilson, who was with me in Brussels earlier. In other words, the FBI knew about, from me, about the Biden CFC deals before they got hold of the laptop, way before. They had enough time to investigate the issue, but they didn't. After Brussels, I never heard back from the DOJ, but instead of showing appreciation for my whistleblowing, I became public enemy number 1. Over the past 4 years that followed, me, my family, my friends, my associates, we were all harassed, intimidated, and finally, I was prosecuted. Despite all that, on the eve of the 2020 elections, I sent my lawyer to Washington to meet with then acting Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Richard Donoghue, to ensure he was informed about the information I had given his department in Brussels 19 months earlier, and also to warn him that there may still be a mole within the DOJ. Mr. Donoghue confirmed to my lawyer that he was aware of my claims, but now we learn from the IRS whistleblower that it was Rich Donoghue himself who suspended the investigation a few weeks earlier on September 4th, 2020.
Of course! He's part of the cover-up crew. You don't get to those positions unless you're ready to make those decisions on behalf of the cartel. I mean, they put a zombie mother trucking puppet in there. You don't think they're going to protect his ass? First of all, had they not put him in there, and all these, you would have never seen Joe Biden on trial. In fact, if they hadn't installed him and any of this stuff came out and somehow it made it to trial, it wouldn't have because he was a former vice president. But let's say it did. He would have never stood up there because they would have played the dementia card. And it would be the card to play because he has dementia.
On the grounds that it was, quote, too close to the elections. Finally, in February this year, I was arrested in Cyprus on an extradition request from the Southern District of New York, the very same office that met with me in Brussels.
As I told you, you better watch out when you've got district attorneys and FBI agents from New York coming to talk to you. Probably not great news for you, whether you think you're the good guy or not, if you're opposing power.
The 7-count indictment said I violated the Arms Export Control Act, and if I convicted, I would face up to 100 years in prison.
We're going to come back. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. Remember, the second hour is over at rvmrumble.com. Go give them a follow over at Rumble. Go give me a follow over at Rumble. And remember, you can support the broadcast at redvoicemedia.com/uncensored.
We interrupt today's programming to bring unfortunate news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. So take action now. The Federal Reserve's phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard and put your hard-earned assets in jeopardy. But here's the good news. There's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Speak to someone at American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Dial 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Call 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. Act swiftly, 833-287-2465.
We are back. It is Reality Rants. I am Jason Bermas. This is the Israeli whistleblower that is now on the run. He's describing how, for his efforts of trying to tell the truth to the Department of Justice in the Southern District of New York prior to the 2020 elections, he was harassed and then charged and is now looking at what? 100 years, and he fears for his life.
While I was detained in Cyprus, I was portrayed in the international media as an arms dealer, even though I never traded a bullet in my entire life. In fact, nowhere in my indictment the DOJ claimed or presented evidence that I bought, sold, shipped, or financed any weapons. I was also charged with acting as an unregistered agent of CFC, which is a FARA violation. The DOJ says that I caused the payment of $6,000 a month to former CIA Director James Woolsey in order to put his name on an article I had ghostwritten for the China Daily newspaper. Nowhere in the indictment, the DOJ mentioned the well-known fact that Mr. Woolsey had been an advisor to my think tank since 2002.
I mean, that should show you how deep everything goes and how the system really works. So this guy is ghostwriting articles that Woolsey slaps his name on, and he's being paid for because he's a part of this think tank. So once again, I don't know if any of the arms dealing stuff is credible. Obviously, he's claiming it's not credible. But this guy's in some pretty deep, shark-ridden waters. James Woolsey, not a great guy.
And that there was nothing in the article that represented Chinese interest, to the contrary. The notion that I, Gal Luft, spoon-fed a CIA director with policy proposals on China, treating him like a useful idiot, is not only an insult to the intelligence community, it is an insult to the intelligence of every American. The US government claims that I acted on behalf of CFC, and therefore I'm a foreign agent. But let me tell you a little secret. The same CFC that the US government claims was associated with the Chinese intelligence and, quote, an international criminal organization, was a 501c3 charitable organization registered in the state of Virginia and approved by the IRS. The same organization was also a major donor to the Clinton Foundation and Columbia University. Needless to say that none of their executives were charged for any wrongdoing. If CFC was indeed a foreign entity tied so closely to the PRC, why was it allowed to operate freely as a public charity? Why did the government expose taxpayers to the risk of funding an entity it knew at the time was so compromised? Why did they not warn anybody? Isn't the role of government to protect its people?
No, it's not. It's to act like the good shepherd, but to herd us into tyranny. And you're learning that.
I'm also being charged for making a false statement in Brussels. But why was I in Brussels to begin with? Was I there to eat Belgian waffles? The DOJ charged me for making a statement in a voluntary meeting that would have never come to bear if not for my good citizenship. So let me propose an idea. Why won't the DOJ make my indictment public? Do it. Make my day. Put it on your website so that every American can see the nature of the allegations against me, the quality of the evidence, and the length the government is willing to go to weaponize the justice system to punish whistleblowers like me.
Thank you. Listen, the justice system has been weaponized for a very long time. That's why I've called it the injustice system. When you look at 9/11 specifically, you look at the FBI whistleblowers from the very beginning, Robert Wright, Barry Carmody, okay? They were punished. Robert Mueller stepped right in as the new director, Punish Town, USA. Then you had the people within Able Danger. They were punished. They were smeared. It's beyond 9/11, before that. That's how the system works when you get too close to power. Real power. And look, Joe Biden is really just a middleman at best, and has been for a very, very long time. But a big-time middleman for this cartel. As a senator from Delaware, as a vice president, and now as the poopy pants puppet in chief, that this guy sadly didn't realize they were getting ready to install and start tying up loose ends that might take him down. That's why they wanted to talk to him. Not just to eventually charge the guy, but to go after every other person they possibly could that he named.
I have another idea. Why won't the FBI submit to Congress the minutes from the Brussels meeting? Let everybody see what happened in Brussels. Why not? Are you trying to protect anything? Are you trying to protect anybody? I also hope that the DOJ can explain why they targeted me in Cyprus and not in my home country of Israel, where I reside most of the time. After all, the US shares a bilateral extradition treaty with Israel. So if any of my crimes are real and serious, and this is not just political prosecution, why did the US need to sneak up on me during a short visit to Cyprus? Do they not trust the Israeli judicial system to judge this issue on its merits? What's going on here? Also, why did the DOJ wait 6 whole years, well beyond the statute of limitation, to indict me? And why did the DOJ choose to unseal the indictment on November 1st, 2022, the very same week of the midterm elections? Could this have anything to do with the fact or the fear that once Republicans gain control over Congress and begin to investigate, their cover-up would be in full display? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why am I being indicted for FARA, for ghostwriting an innocuous article for which I received no payment, let alone from a foreign government, when the mother of all FARA cases, the Biden systemic influence peddling on behalf of foreign governments for which they raked millions, goes unpunished?
Unpunished? I mean, unacknowledged by most. A conspiracy theory by authoritative sources. And you're the bad guy, dude. Get used to it.
This is, in a nutshell, why I decided to act the way I did. Because I do not have faith that I would receive a fair trial in a New York court.
No!
Let me tell you why.
No chance!
CFC Secretary General Dr. Patrick Ho, who paid Hunter Biden $1 million for God knows what, was not allowed to mention the word Biden before the jury when he was tried in New York in 2018. The very same prosecutor who is now after me, Daniel Reichenthal, told the judge at the time that mentioning the name Biden would, quote, add a political dimension to the case. And the judge agreed. Which means that if I'm ever brought before a US court, I would not be allowed to utter the word Brussels or Biden. And the real context of my arrest, me being patient zero of the Biden family investigation, would be hidden from the jury. Let it sink in. I, who volunteered to inform the US government about potential security breach and about compromising information about a man vying to be the next president, am now being hunted by the very same people whom I informed and may have to live on the run for the rest of my life. I warned the government about potential risk to the integrity of the 2020 elections. If convicted by a US court, would never be able to vote again in the US elections. Just think about it and ask yourself, who is the real criminal in this story?
I mean, come on, man. Everything is laid out right there. You talk about 2020 election integrity. They're not, it's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. We saw what the media did. We all knew Joey B was a criminal. I still have trouble with the fact that that guy got installed because he can't speak. I want to make sure I hit on this. Freedom of press has gone up in smoke. Protesters demand U.S. drop charges against Assange. This is the issue. And right now, after the next break, I got a clip of Assange's wife out in Europe, the Vatican specifically. Now, she met with the Pope. It's an AP piece. It's one of those raw AP pieces. So, like, first of all, it's low res, whatever. I don't care about low res. But then it's like it's not really edited. So there's silent spots where they're taking pictures of this woman out there. But her points about Julian are ones that we need to keep hammering home. He's being punished because he exposed corruption. That guy's being punished because he exposed corruption. That guy they're trying to throw in prison, Julian Assange, they have thrown in prison. Okay? All I can tell people out there is, God forbid you're ever in a position where you dare think that you're doing the right thing against somebody that's that powerful and that protected, that you make the mistake of going to the FBI or one of the other three-letter agencies or law enforcement. Man, I couldn't wait. You look at New York, it is so damn corrupt. Think about that, what he just told you. In a trial that obviously concerns Joe Biden, you can't say the words Biden. So a judge it doesn't even have to find you in default anymore. If they can instruct you on what words you can and cannot say, it's over. It's over. You're done. And look, the New York case with Bragg and Trump, there's nothing there. But at the same time, is there a possibility they can convict him of nothing? Yes. Yes. And that's the least scary one. The really scary one is the Espionage Act. And that's why this Assange story is so important. Why? Because in Washington, D.C., protesters demand the U.S. government drop its espionage charges against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. There's no irony there. There should be, Bueller. Got to go to another break. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. Assange's wife after this, describing what's going on in the Julian Assange case as we speak.
You're still looking good. I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Here she is at the Vatican. That's Julian Assange's wife. And like I said, there's a lot of these shots, like a 2-minute clip.
When Julian received the letter from the Pope back in March 2021, it was a very dark period for him, and it gave him great comfort. And 2 years later, I've been received here, so it's an ongoing show of support for our family's plight. We spoke in Spanish. I gave him a present, which was 2 pictures of my wedding with Julian inside Belmarsh prison. These are pictures that I haven't been able to share with anyone else, but he was appreciative. I have a lot of faith that the situation will change and that there are a lot of people around the world, from all parts of the world, here and elsewhere, who are trying to get justice and see freedom for my husband.
We need that more than ever, by the way. We got to get behind him.
Generally, we've seen an enormous shift politically around the world. We've seen the Australian Prime Minister who says he has been engaging with the US administration to bring this matter to a close. The United Nations, the Council of Europe, human rights organizations, press freedom organizations that are all in a total consensus that this case is inhumane. What is being done to my husband is inhumane, that he's suffering, that he's been in prison for over 4 years for publishing true information revealing the killing of innocents and criminality and injustice.
And there it is, right there. That's all you need to know. But that's the norm. Really push back against the system, and that's what you get. They come for you. Okay? That bottom line. That's what's really going down. Oh, let's hit some more news stories. I got some other clips that I do want to play. Hopefully we'll get to some of them. Let's talk for a second. Let's see. Where do we want to go? Right here. Boom. So we talked about the PFAs and the forever chemicals. We talked about the water where I live being the second worst in the United States. North Carolina, the only place beating it. Scary. Very, very scary. I don't know how accurate it is. But boy, if we can't ask about our drinking water, if we can't clean that up, I mean, water is one of the life forces on the planet, everybody, obviously. Trump will skip Tucker Carlson's forum with Republican 2024 candidates in Iowa. Ex-president gives GOP field the cold shoulder as he threatens to sit out of debates. Yeah, he might just sit out of all of them. We're going to have the first forum with the Tuckins in Des Moines, Iowa. It's something I would have tried to go to, but I'm hitting the road for New York right on Friday afternoon. Long trip, driving back to, I'm going to have to do some pre-records, figure out what we're going to be giving you, because Monday and Tuesday I'm probably still going to be on the road and exhausted. All right, Zoe 101 actress Alexa Nicholas claims Jonah Hill slammed her against a door and shoved his tongue down her throat when she was 16 and he was 24 days after actors Sarah Brady accused star of emotional abuse. Listen, I'm not even going to weigh in on all the text messages that Jonah Hill and his current... I don't care about that. What I care about is if, this guy tried to go after a 16-year-old when he was 24. That's a problem. And he's buddies with James Franco, and there's been some things said about Franco. There's some DMs about Franco that ain't good either. So we're not hypocrites here. When shiz like this goes down, it's no bueno, and we're going to report on it. So, yeah. This is actually great news. It looks like Jamie Foxx is up and about. Okay, there he is right there. It looks like he has, finally made it into public. We showed you the boat video. This appears to be him. And, look, I'm glad this guy's all right. I'm glad, I hope that we get to hear exactly what happened or what he thinks happened. Who knows? But it does appear that he is on the mend. He is walking and talking. So, great news for everybody. Let's see. Yeah, there's him skipping. No, we don't want to do the Ramaswamy. Here's Tapper claiming he won't shy away from covering the Hunter Biden's myriad of scandals. Except for, the scandals have been around for 3-4 years now, Jake. And we just saw what you said about the kid. You wouldn't even mention, they engaged in this act. A beautiful babe. Like, what the heck? What a loser. What a loser. My goodness. All right. We got all that stuff. Good. All right. I got a few more videos here. I want to show this clip of... Man, what's her name? Behind the green door, Rosa Koire. Okay, Rosa Koire discussing Rand mind control with another gentleman and the Great Reset agenda way before anybody even knew who Klaus Nuttschwab was. So this is an old school clip, and this is Rosa Koire talking about how Rand would use a technique of pre-programming a populace to believe that it was their idea that they came up with the solution that was already pre-planned, the problem reaction solution.
What they propose this as is that citizens of their own volition, it seems, all got together and said they want the exact same things, right? High density housing, near mass transit. They don't want single family homes anymore. Everyone wants to move into the big city. Isn't that what you voted for?
This is what makes people think you've got a tinfoil hat on when you start talking about this plan, because it's a crazy plan. It's not. We're not crazy. The plan itself is crazy, and they use these sort of visioning meetings. Are actually using a technique that was created by the Rand Corporation in the 1950s and 60s to sort of channelize political thought or people's opinion into a predetermined outcome while giving them the impression that it was all their idea. So aren't you smart? You created that plan all on your own, even though it's the identical plan all over the United States.
Yeah, coincidentally, they all want the exact same thing, which is very freedom limiting for some reason, because we don't need freedom anymore if the government provides everything.
It's outdated, the concept. And what's unsustainable? Private vehicles, private single-family homes, meat eating, that goes over real big in Texas, I'll tell you. Tillage, livestock, air conditioning, appliances. These are considered to be unsustainable, according to this plan.
Everything. And this is why we continually, over and over again, show you that the people at the top, the people behind the scenes, the people like Dennis Bushnell know the sustainability is a quote-unquote code word. They tell you that it's your standard of living plummeting. They literally make these ads. That 2016 ad, we'll blink and it'll be 2026, by the way, and that'll be 10 years old, and you'll still be smiling and owning nothing in their dream world. And slowly but surely, they're going to try to push you into this. Now, one of the other clips that I really did want to play today was of Annie Jacobson talking about the DARPA brain chip program. And the reason that I wanted to play that was because she mentions in it how badly DARPA wanted to keep her away and would not let her talk to these soldiers that had come back with PTSD, etc., and taken the brain chips. Now, I could not find that clip again. I saw it literally yesterday. That's why I need to start retweeting stuff. What I did find was another clip, which was similar, because in that instance, she was discussing how DARPA had pushed away the Jason scientists. And just so everybody knows, the Jason scientists, that's not an acronym for anything. But for a very long time, post-World War II, these were academics that were kind of outside of the system that would be able to come in, work on projects, discuss technologies, and try to direct where the Defense Department, DARPA in particular, would move. And what she states here in regards to human brain interfaces or brain chips and Jason and their replacements, and when this occurred, war on terror, hint, hint, should alarm everybody. So here's Annie Jacobson talking DARPA, Jason, and brain chips.
Surprisingly aren't really familiar with this. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, wow, what if? When in fact, this is dogma at the Pentagon. And you can read about it in their unclassified reports that talk about DARPA's plans and the Pentagon's plans for drones and autonomous warfare, also called hunter-killer drones, through 2038. And when I was having a discussion with one of the program managers at DARPA about some of these hunter-killer drones, the science of which is being pursued in these very sort of spooky areas that involve brain implants and mapping the brain and charting, neurological behavior in brain-wounded warriors. And I was saying...
Think about that. Everything that she just put out there. You think it's the future. This is like a decade old, by the way. You think it's the future. It's dogma at the Pentagon. We're talking autonomous drones totally exist. She's talking about ones that are literally controlled by brainwaves. That's just one of the things they want to incorporate with these brain chip technologies.
Well, I read a report where the Jason scientists do not think this is a good idea. In fact, they specifically advise the Pentagon against moving in this direction. And the program manager, Michael Goldblatt, said to me, well, Jason's hardly relevant anymore. And I said, what do you mean? This is news to me. And he said, well, it's kind of news at the Pentagon, and it just started happening during the War on Terror, where the Jason scientists are being moved out. And in their place of power has come a group called the Defense Science Board, who has been at the Pentagon for a while, but their position in terms of advising the Pentagon and advising how DARPA will move forward has changed. And here's the rub that concerned me, is that the Defense Science Board is made up of individuals who are full-time defense contractors. They are not part-time defense contractors and full-time academics. They sit on the boards of these major, whether it's Boeing, Lockheed, General Dynamics, etc. And they are the ones who are now really advising DARPA how the government should move toward autonomous warfare, which brings up a very important question. And it brings up what you asked about, which was Eisenhower's concept of the military-industrial complex. So if those who are advising the Pentagon how to proceed and which vast weapon systems of the future to create...
We obviously know there's a conflict of interest. It's bad news, Brown. Okay? We're going to hit one more ad. We're going to come back. Remember, second hour's over at rvmrumble.com. rvmrumble.com. That second hour is going to be with Frank from Quite Frankly, discussing Sound of Freedom, discussing the Lenin assassination, and so much more. When we come back, just briefly, we're going to play this Hill Dog clip you're not going to want to miss. But first, the VPN I use and love, IPVanish.
We love the internet, but the internet is tracking everything you do. Take control of your online privacy with IPVanish. People with malicious intent are everywhere, watching you, Criminals can hack your Wi-Fi, while broadband providers and advertisers monitor your data. With IPVanish on your device, your internet activity is encrypted. No one can see what you're doing. Your location, your connection, completely hidden. Protect your internet privacy today with IPVanish.
Saw somebody in the comments talking about the Jason scientists and how I told you it's not an acronym. It's actually after Jason and the Argonauts, which is a Freemasonic hero, the tale of which is told in The Pentagon's Brain by Annie Jacobson, a book I cannot recommend enough to illustrate what the military-industrial complex really is. So Hill Dog's talking about women's equality, equity, and climate change. Let's fit this in before we get to the interview with Frank.
A world where women were equal in every aspect of society would be richer and safer and more stable. There's a lot to be gained in moving toward equality because I think it would be better for everyone, not just girls and women.
Overdue for equity, the Rockefeller Foundation. Oh, yeah. Oh, we love the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, we're overdue for equity.
Ready?
There's the cackle box. She loves a cackling. The cackle monster herself.
I'm Hillary Clinton.
I know who you are. She's a
Women
honorary
are
foundation
primary farmers in many parts of the world, like Africa and other places. We're facing a climate crisis, and we know that catastrophes of all kinds fall disproportionately on girls and women, whether it's tornadoes and hurricanes and wildfires and all kinds of droughts and other climate-related problems. And so the dislocation and difficulties faced because of climate change has made life even more difficult for many, many women and girls.
Everything in that was made up. Think about what that woman just said. Somehow, women and girls, forget about, let's go with kids. Any kind of natural disaster or predicament there, that's going to be tougher on kids. Boys and girls, it'll be the toughest on them. They're little people. If they don't have adults with them, they're going to be in trouble. This woman just made up, that whole thing was totally made up. Tornadoes and twisters and boogeymen and witches on broomsticks. They disproportionately attack women and girls. Like nothing there was real at all. Just a blanket statement of climate change and horror, and we'll tag women and girls on it. What is this crap?
We've changed a lot of laws, a lot of regulations, we've made a lot of progress, but there are still too many people for all kinds of traditional, cultural reasons who do not believe in and therefore do not support the full equality of women. Young girls and young women throughout the world need to understand that they have a role to play in every aspect of their society, starting in the family and the home, but going into the community, the neighborhood, and beyond.
Like this woman gives a flying rat's ass about the home and the family. This is Hillary Clinton we're talking about. You think she cares? And by the way, what are we supposed to do? We're just supposed to culturally take over the world? You cannot like somebody's religion, or you cannot like a culture's societal values. But to step in and just say, we're wiping the slate clean, that's a very Rockefeller, cocksure attitude. I'm just saying, Hill Dog.
And they should be willing and able to follow their own dreams. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to determine or tell any girl what her dreams should be, but I want to be in a position to help support every young girl and young woman in achieving her own dreams, whatever those might be.
Yeah. Hillary Clinton loves you. Guys, we're about to head over to the interview with Quite Frankly. Remember, that is at rvmrumble.com. I'm going to say it again, rvmrumble.com. Exclusively is where you're going to find that second hour today. Make sure to go over there, and if you want to support the broadcast, you can do so by going to redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. Let's fight Hill Dog and Zombie J and the gang by supporting alternative media. $1 for the first week. $10 a month. If you want to lock it in and really support the broadcast, it's $100 for the year. And without further ado, let's get to Frank.